I'm taller today than what I usually am, so we're just gonna adjust a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for celebrating the next generation of progressive leaders. To the 2017-2018 fellowship class, it is an honor to be selected as your class speaker. Our paths crossed about 7 months ago, but our journey is just beginning. Thank you for being professional, respectful, and a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm excited to see the positive outcome of your hard work and dedication to serving the people of Arizona. I spent my early childhood changing locations a few times, developing new relationships, but most importantly, adapting to my surroundings, as I had the privilege of being a daughter of an Army man. I often credit my military upbringing for my structure. However, it was the summers and holidays that I spent with my grandparents across on the other side of the tracks in Southwest Arkansas that added value to who I was. Arkansas reminds me a lot of rural Arizona. Our closest neighbor was about a half a mile down the road. Cows grazed across the street, and we had a septic tank instead of city water. We lived so close to the railroad tracks that when it passed, our home would shake. My grandfather would always tell me to have heart, to be just, and to be fair. He often handed me books that he expected me to read and provide a report on. He would even go to these various board meetings that he were members of, and he would bring me home the policy changes and ask me, what's your stance and why? And be confident. I was young, but he told me to be fair and he told me to be just. So he never told me that I was wrong. He just asked me, was my decision acceptable for everyone? I recall a few years back, I was visiting my family's home in Southwest Arkansas, and my grandmother stated, I want to visit Africa. So me being the favorite grandchild that I am, I say, get your passports and I'll pay for us to go to Africa. Within a year, my grandmother had her passport. However, my grandfather was very reluctant. So I kept pressuring him, and I asked him, are you gonna get this passport because your wife wants to go to Africa, and you know how she is when she's adamant about something. And that's when he told me, he said, I can't obtain a passport because I have a felony. I was confused. I had known this man my entire life, and I've always known him to be a good, hardworking man. And I did not understand how this felony was gonna keep my family from going to Africa. And so I began to do research. And that's when I realized that my grandfather was incorrect. Because the inner activist in me, oh no, this is incorrect. My grandfather is going to Africa. This is voter suppression at its best. Do we not believe in restoration? But my grandfather reminded me that everyone has a past. And the decisions that he made when he was younger did not define the man that he had become. And so, although for me, his story ended in he could obtain his passport because he was incorrect about information, he ignited a passion in me about social justice, because when he told me he could not go, I knew that that policy had to change, because my grandfather Poppy is 75 years old, and I don't know how many more years he has living, but I knew that on this side, that he was gonna go to Africa. And in 2016, I'm canvassing for numerous people, and I find a lot of people answering homes of their relatives, and they were not registered, and I asked them, why are you not registered to vote? And they gladly informed me that they were ex-felons. So again, I'm confused, because although my family is from Arkansas, I grew up in Texas, and in Texas, ex-felons can vote. So I was not understanding how in Arizona that was not possible. And upon my research, I noticed that in Arizona, after you're a one-time convicted felon, your civil rights are automatically restored. However, after the second felony, you have to apply for your civil rights to be restored. So again, my inner activism came out, and I resorted back to my grandfather. This is voter suppression at its best. This is a violation of the constitutional right. How is this even possible? And then I started working, because I knew that I wanted ex-felons in Arizona to be able to vote regardless of the decisions that they had made, when they made them, or how they made them, because it is a constitutional right. So one, I know in Arizona, this policy will change. And two, us as Americans have to believe, and our actions have to show that we believe in restoration. One of my favorite childhood books, I told you I used to get a lot of books. One of my favorite childhood books was The Little Engine That Could. And that is what my journey looked like prior to Leading for Change. I wanted ex-felons to automatically be able to vote. The first person I encountered told me that they would not, I didn't say could not, I said would not help me, because it would be too difficult in Arizona to get this policy changed. The second person I encountered told me if I could whip the bills to get the vote, they would write the bill. I think that's a little backwards, but I was told that if I could whip the bills, then they would write it. So I was disappointed, but I wasn't discouraged. And then I found Leading for Change. Leading for Change gave me direction. They helped me create a personal political leadership plan. Leading for Change taught me to lead and speak with my values. My grandfather taught me to be fair and just. And Leading for Change showed me that I was fighting for equity and justice. They took a chance on a strong, bold, diligent Black woman. And because of my tenacity, I will ensure that Arizonans automatically restore the rights of ex-felons. In honor of Women's History Month, I have to acknowledge Leading for Change for pushing stronger women forward. Women like Murphy Bannerman and Aza Abu Sab. They were lead organizers in the Women's March for Phoenix. Women like Nikita Ross, who is the executive director of Resilient Me. Who is currently running for Phoenix Union High School Governing Board. And my dear friend, Beth Lewis, who is the president of Save Our Schools. And last but certainly not least, one of my super women, Jacqueline Boyes, would you please stand? And I call her Superwoman because I stated we started this program about 7 months ago. Jacqueline had her personal political leadership plan was to obtain IDs for people that were experiencing homelessness. And so she started down her path, and Representative Reginald Bolding, who is the House Representative for District 27, who is a fellow of this alumni to this fellowship, assisted her in this. And Jacqueline and Representative Reginald Bolding worked on this project. And so House Bill 2575 passed the House. And is currently in the Senate. And so this bill will allow veterans who are experiencing homelessness to obtain ID cards in the state of Arizona. This is what happens when everyone works together for the good of everybody. I've often wondered how my family's home that was so close to the train tracks could remain standing after years and years of being shaken by the power of the train. But it was the structure of the home that withstood the force. If you have not experienced the Leading for Change Network, I encourage you to apply to the fellowship. Yes, that's a clap. You should apply to the fellowship. To the current fellowship class and even the alumni that are currently pursuing their personal political leadership plan, the Leading for Change structure has prepared us to survive disappointment, discouragement, and resentment. You are resilient, you have vision, you are prepared, and you are full of all good things. I am confident that you will be able to withstand any force that arises while trying to change policy in the state of Arizona. In the words of the Little Blue Engine, I know you can, I know you can, I know you can.